What's up, guys? It's John with National Sports Entertainment, and we have the NBA in-season tournament going on for I think it's the third night. They do it every Tuesday and Friday, although they had to observe the election day, so they didn't have one on Tuesday, so we got one tonight. Last night we did all right. We finished pretty good. This is the reason I say this a lot, that I use this style when using my system. So we had the Pacers winning, and they got a nice win for us at the end. It became a pick'em at the end, which was unfortunate because I personally got about plus 135 because they were 4.5-point underdogs, and then they ruled out Dame, and it became a pick'em. But so if you saw my video, you might have got slightly better odds, I would imagine, because at least when I picked it, it was good odds. But even at the most it moved to was pick'em, or even Bucks as still like 1-point favorite. So we got that. And as I went into in that video, if you missed it, I took the under because of the fact that the Pacers just really have not gone under much at all this year. We didn't get that. So then we had the next slate of games, and we did miss the Magic. But our leg 2 that I was playing for 2 units because we had lost, the under on the Pacers came through. The Magic definitely went over. They were terrible on the over. So the metrics split last night. We wound up getting, like I said, 2 out of the 4. But the good thing is, as I've gone into multiple occasions, we were able to close both of our 1 o'clock sequences, or not 1 o'clock, our first game sequences, because we split them, and then we got the leg 2 on the Magic over. So now we just have a leg 2 for the Magic losing that we have to cover. Leg 2's 2 units, leg 1's 1 unit. So nothing crazy, and I'm gonna go into it in a second. So we had a decent night. For once, we got the clip on our side with the Panthers. If you've watched past videos, I've specifically gone into I always match up my spread to the ESPN spread if I can. So if ESPN's at 3.5, but every other book's at 3, I'm going to do the 3.5 because it just seems like they're the Associated Press of spread metricing. So if you look at the Panthers, they were the worst team in the NFL against the spread. They did now officially pick up their second win against the spread. I really don't think it's a coincidence. I've seen it happen too much, and I've seen it happen too much. These clips happen with teams that are horrible against the spread, and it just happens to give them that couple, that win or two. So it is interesting. And Chargers was nice. Like I said, not Chargers. I'm sorry. Well, we got Chargers the week before. I forget who they played, but we got them on a clip pretty recently. So we're starting to get some clips going our way. So I'll take that for sure. But yeah, speaking of the basketball, I'm just going to go into these. This first game might be not a bad beat, but just one of those. In poker, you call it sick when you expect something, when you have a good idea on something, but you don't make the call. So first and foremost, I really do like the Pistons to cover the Sixers. The Sixers have been looking amazing, and I don't see much money on the Pistons. Even this is a cover. Again, that I always talk about, when you start getting into double-digit cover territory, you really have to look at the teams, and if the public is likely to take the team laying that many points, I do think people are going to take the Sixers laying this amount of points. They just beat the Celtics. They're looking strong. Of course, I like the Pistons to make the cover. The Sixers are also undefeated on the spread this year, them and only one other team. So between both of those reasons, I do like the Pistons a lot for the cover. The reason I said it could be a sick one is I really wanted to play the win. I was going to play the money line, and it wouldn't hurt if you wanted to play it, as it's playing both, half a unit on each or 1 unit on each, whatever you wanted to do. I'm personally just playing the spread, but I bring it up because we've been chasing money lines, not chasing, but just doing, not sporadic, but I would just say every once in a while, a good money line pick. Like yesterday, we had the Pistons beating the Bucks, I think it was, or some. Oh no, the Pacers played the Bucks. We got that one. It was an upset. Maybe the day before, Pistons beating the Bucks, something like that. and it was a 2-point loss, so we almost got it. And we've got some nice money lines this year, but at the end of the day, it does seem like one where I could see the Pistons winning. They're pushing Cunningham, and I think it would be one that not a lot of people would have taken. So we've had a few near misses. We have hit a few, but yeah, I'm not officially playing it. But if you're looking for a good plus odds, I really think the Pistons money line has a lot of value. Now we got Hornets-Wizards, and I was looking at this. I like the Hornets. I took them when they played their last game. It was in Charlotte, and the Wizards won. I think a lot of times people just assume, well, if they won in Charlotte, they're definitely going to win at home. It is interesting. They're both 2-5, and we got a 2.5-point spread. But I do think the Hornets are going to... I believe in them more than I do the Wizards this year. I can say that. So while I think... Again, I have them both making the play-in. And I might have... I did a rankings video, and if you notice, there's a few more teams in the East. Bottom dwellers, Hornets, Wizards, and Pistons that I have making the play-in or making a run for the play-in. But on the West, I don't have too many. But it's looking like the Rockets might be, the Pistons of the West, if you will. The team that I was expecting to kind of come out of nowhere. Maybe the Rockets are going to be a play-in team. But anyway, it's early on. I'm still standing by my picks. I'm just going into the fact that I do have a decent amount of teams out of the East, making the play-in versus last year. Mostly because I think some teams like, again, the Raptors, the Bulls, maybe even the Hawks, they might just fall right out of the playoffs. I really have a feeling that might happen. But again, I like the Hornets more than the Wizards. I think they're getting pushed more if you look at their young guys, if you look at their, even some of their veterans, just their team in general. They give me slightly better vibes. I think JP is going to be more of an individual effort this year. I think he's been in and out. But either way, I like the Hornets here for the win. And I like the over-under on this one, too. I like the under. They've both gone over a good bit this year. That being said, it's nothing crazy. So, again, if you really want to play it, you can. But for me, I just like the Hornets to win this game. And, like I said, it's nothing crazy, but I do like the under. I think it's 239.5. I'll look at it in a second. As always, I have all of our increments put up. But, yeah, I think the Hornets will cover, and, I think they'll win. And I do like the under. Nets-Celtics here. I do love the Celtics for the cover for a few reasons. The Nets have been competitive this year. And the Celtics, I've gone into this before, I think they're going to be very consistent looking. Doesn't mean they're not going to lose a game here or there, but it does mean, in my opinion, we were able to get the Sixers beating them yesterday. And typically I would not have taken the Sixers because they're undefeated against the spread. But I just thought the line looked like a complete trap, and it turned out to be one. Now tonight I am playing my spread metric because the Nets are undefeated also. 8-0 against the spread. Last year, team was 6-0, 0-6. Lakers were the last team to finish winless or undefeated against the spread. They were 0-6, or they were about to go to 0-6, and they finally got a win. So we're already a few games past last year when the final 0-for team or 100% team got knocked off of their high horse. So I think the Nets do tonight. I think the Celtics cover, and you're looking at 11.5 points. I don't see too many people slamming the Celtics, giving up 11.5 against a very competitive Nets team. Next, Pelican-Rockets. I like the Rockets. I'll take the Rockets to cover this game. Win, cover. It's basically a pick 'em, but if you want as good odds as you can, then obviously you're going to take the cover. So I like the Rockets in this one. On my book, they were actually underdogs, so I guess it just depends on your book. But I like them for a few reasons. Yes, they're coming off a prison pounding of the Lakers, so people might be hotter on them for that reason. The public, I think, is aware Jalen Green and Smith Jr. are the real deal. So you have that, and obviously they added some, I guess they're considered stars. I'd call them role players, but in the offseason. So definitely a team that, again, I was looking at as a team that might do something like the Pistons or the Hornets, like I think they're going to do at least, make that wild card run. The Spurs are another one. I say wild card, but I mean play in essentially. But again, I think just because one good game and a couple guys looking good, I think more people are still going to be on the Pelicans. Just my opinion. So I still like the Rockets here. And I am also taking into account that it's the in-season tournament. So some teams, there haven't been a lot that played in it yet. But some teams that lost, I have them winning now and vice versa. And I also am taking into account the NBA championship because it's like wrestling. If you have a WWE champion, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a different intercontinental champion. So this would be our intercontinental championship. I think it's going to be a team that hasn't recently won a championship or is not going to win one this year. That's just my opinion. So anyway, we'll be going into it a lot deeper, but I just want to kind of knock them out and get, so people have as much time as possible. But I wanted to enunciate on each of these narratives that I see. Jazz and Grizzlies, no crazy narratives here. I just like the Grizzlies for the cover. I think the Jazz are going to be putrid this year. I think last year they were just around because they had Russ at the beginning and they had some guys, then they traded them all away. I like the Grizzlies for the cover. I think, again, they're going to keep the Grizzlies close enough so Ja can go on a little streak and they can make themselves a contender to maybe make a run for the play-in playoffs. Whereas I don't think the Jazz are ever going to be in that position. They're going to be, in my opinion, the Blazers of last year. Well, the Blazers might be the Blazers of last year, to be honest. They're going to be pretty bad, in my opinion, themselves. But the Jazz as well. I think they're going to be a 30-something win team. I don't see them doing much. The Grizzlies, I can see them making a run later on. And for that to happen, they have to be relatively in position. So I'll take them for the cover. Also, I think people are going to be 50-50 on this game. So if people are going to be 50-50 on a 4.5-point spread, that's another reason I like the Grizzlies to cover. They're not going to pay out the Jazz, in my opinion. Not that they can't, but I just don't see it happening. Timberwolves-Spurs. It's in San Antonio, so public might be on them a little more. Definitely appealing odds. That being said, I do like the Spurs to win. I didn't take the cover because I think if they lose, they might lose pretty big, like they lost to the Knicks. But I think if they win, and I think they will win, I think it's going to be just another good performance for Wemby. He's coming off, again, he didn't have a bad performance, but again, the Knicks beat them pretty bad. He was up against Robinson. Now, he is going up against Gobert, but again, different styles completely. Gobert's, booked as a slower type of player, whereas Wemby is pushed as a very unorthodox, athletic type of player. So I think Wemby could have a good game here. It's an in-season tournament. It'll get people excited. The Timberwolves have been looking very, very good. I don't think it's going to last. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe they'll be like the Kings were last year, where I kept expecting them to fall off and they never did. But I do think enough money will be on. You might get some for the Spurs because they have the upside appeal. They've got some upsets this year. But with the way the Timberwolves have been crushing people, I'd imagine more people are going to be taking them. So I like the Spurs here for the cover. Now, I'm sorry, I like the Spurs for the win. I like the win. You're getting plus 200. I like that play. Clippers-Mavericks, I like the Mavs for the cover. They got beat by the Nuggets, and it was decisive. It was basically, from buzzer to buzzer, the Nuggets rolled the Mavericks. So I think, especially with all the hype around the Clippers now, it isn't. To me, it's kind of a weird line. Typically at home, even against the Clippers, even though their record doesn't reflect it, they're obviously a good team. Typically at home, the Mavericks would be like -3 here. But nonetheless, I like them to cover this spread. Again, I think they're going to be established as a really good team this year. Luka's my MVP. I went into that in the preseason. So that's one thing that might be holding up pretty good. It just stands to reason. You gave it to Jokic. You gave it to a lot of different guys. You got, Embiid got it. Giannis got it. I just think, especially with the international appeal, it's going to be, in my opinion, a top American or Luka. So you got like Jason Tatum or Luka, something like that. It's just my opinion. With the way Steph's playing, you never know. But honestly, I don't think many people are going to... The only guy that's really doing what Luka's doing is Giannis. As far as, the constant triple-double threat. and everything runs through Giannis. So if the Mavericks have a good record this year and Luka continues the same stat line he's been putting up, I don't see why he wouldn't win MVP. So even if it's still close, I think he's a great pick. Lakers Suns here. I was thinking about this one too, and I do like the Suns to cover for the mere fact I think they're trying to, it seems like, really push, and I get it, real or fake, this would make sense, but sometimes they don't talk about injuries. Now Davis is out, and they're acting like, the Lakers can't win without him. Like this is some new revelation, without Davis they would be a worse team. But they're really talking about it on these sound bites, the talking heads. So I think they're going to maybe not just lose, but get rolled in all these games where they don't have Davis. Which again, would explain how they can lose a bunch of games, not cover a bunch of games, but still make a run once he's, quote, healthy. Now, the Suns don't have Book, so they do have Beal from what I can tell, so it's not like they're missing two of their three big guys. But even still, Book, he is the guy who's really gone off in their wins, especially early in the season before he got hurt. So I don't see too many people taking the Suns without Book. You could make the same argument for the Lakers without Davis, but you're still looking at Reeves. You're still looking at D'Lo. You're still looking at LeBron, even though he's older, and some good role players like Christian Wood. With the Suns, you're literally looking at, in this case, you'll have KD and Book. I'm sorry, KD and Beal. And that's nice, but again, you could throw in Nurk. They really don't have, in my opinion, the names that the Lakers do, especially with one of their guys out. So I think more people would be on the Lakers' money line here, if I'm being honest. Even after they just got beat pretty bad, the Suns haven't looked great themselves. So since people I think will be more on the Lakers, I like the Suns for the cover. It's also a contingency pick. I have the Celtics covering as well. As you know, I usually take the logic that of the two ESPN doubleheader games, or whatever it is, TNT, tonight it's at ESPN, both home teams aren't going to get upset. Not that it can't happen, but typically if you have two home team favorites, usually one of them comes through and covers. So I like that logic. So essentially, I'm about to go into the exact units that we're betting, but the Lakers-Suns game is going to be contingent on how the Celtics-Nets games goes. And finally, we got the Kings-Thunder, and on this one, I like the Kings. Fox isn't playing. I think people are going to be on the Thunder because, even with Fox, I think people would be on the Thunder if it was this kind of line. Maybe not. Maybe it's not appealing enough for them to take the Thunder, but they're looking good this year. Kings aren't looking that great. It's reminding me of the Pacers and Cavs kind of a little bit, where I think we're going to see the Thunder flip the Kings this year, just like we're going to see the Pacers flip the Cavs. Now, as far as the winner tonight, I like the Kings because you have no Fox. I still think they're going to be a playoff/play-in team, Kings. And I don't think that the Thunder are going to be a flash in the pan. I think they're going to make them a good team down the road. And that's why I try and balance like my playoff predictions with my current predictions. Because, yeah, I think the Thunder are going to be good down the road. But I don't think that necessarily doesn't mean they're going to win every single game. But I do think more of the public is going to be on them for sure. Again, they have a healthy, their main guys are healthy. And the Kings' best guy, who the offense essentially runs through, is hurt. So I don't see why people would be on the Kings. So I like the Kings in this game. And the Spurs under, Spurs T-Wolves under, I'm playing because of metrics. Both of these teams have gone over quite a bit amount of their games. So I like the under on this as well. So as I went into, it's just a little simpler this way. It's just a little also jumbled in here. So I figured I would go into all of the picks on ESPN. That way we could kind of see it better. And then this is just a unit amounts. If you see my prior videos, it's pretty straightforward, but it's what it's what I'm going to be wagering. I already locked most of these, so for all the people that tail me. So yeah, you got the Rockets to win. And again, if it's a 1 and 1.5, you could take the cover, that's fine. With games like this, again, my book, they were actually underdogs. So it really depends on what you're getting. Hornets, I like them to win straight up. You're going to get slightly plus odds. It's basically a reverse situation of the Rockets here. Only the Hornets, we're getting about 3 points, but I'm not taking the cover. I'm taking the money line, so it'll be about like plus 120. So I do think that they'll win though. And like I said, I do like the under as well. Again, leg 1 unit, just because these teams have gone over quite a bit. 2-1 for the Spurs, love that. Leg 1. The Grizzlies, it moved to 4.5. That's fine. I got 5.5. Leg 1 unit, and the Mavs covering the Clippers. Now, as you can see, the Kings beating the Thunder is also a leg 1 for 1 unit, but just because it's at 10:30, I believe, and these games are at 7 to 8. 7:38. So say the Rockets don't win, or the Spurs don't win, or the Hornets don't win, and let's be honest, the odds of one of them losing is pretty high. So if any of them do lose, we're going to play the Kings win as a leg 2. So the only way we won't be playing the Kings as a leg 2 is if we're undefeated going into the Kings game, which I seriously doubt. It would be great if that's the case, but yeah, if we have any prior losses, then Kings is going to be a leg 2. The Pistons cover, obviously, again, it's 9.5. You might get something different. I probably just forgot to type it in here, but I do like the Pistons to cover the Sixers here, and that's going to be a leg 2 for 2 units because the Sixers are undefeated against the spread, and same with the Nets. They're undefeated against the spread, so I love the Celtics to cover them as a leg 2. Now, another one for leg 2 is going to be the Suns to cover the Lakers, as I went over. Now, should they, again, it's contingent on the Celtics-Nets game, since they are the first game of the ESPN doubleheader. If the Celtics at home don't get the cover, then we'll be taking the Suns to cover the Lakers as a leg 3. Okay, so Celtics cover Nets, say it loses, that's leg 2, 2 units. The next installment will be Suns cover Lakers, leg 3 for 4 units. If the Celtics come through, then we're just keeping the Suns as a leg 2. And finally, the Spurs T-Wolves is the only one that's definitely going to be a leg 3. It's the under, not the money line. The money line we got as a leg 2. Actually, the money line is a leg 1, I'm sorry. But the cover for the over-under here is going to be a leg 3. Again, for the fact both these teams have gone over quite a bit, and significantly the Spurs. 225.5 is not that high. And I think people are going to be inclined to take the over with, again, it's being set pretty low. And then you throw in the fact that the Wolves have a very slow style of play. They're being established as a different team this year. So I think the public just sees these kind of teams and expects it to be higher scoring. Oh, you got Wemby, you got Edwards, you got guys, you got the Spurs. They essentially, if you look at their pace, it's pretty insane as far as how quick they get shots off. But I think you throw in guys like Gobert, who slow down the game tremendously. I think it's going to go under. And again, I'm also just playing the metrics. I don't think we're going to have teams going, 80-90% against the spread. And as the season goes on, I just try and pick them out. So, yeah, I like this play probably the most. The Spurs T-Wolves under, and it's 225.5. That's what it was last I checked as well. And yeah, the Suns cover Lakers is more of a contingency. So again, that gets upgraded to a leg 3, only if the Celtics don't cover. Just like the Kings winning is going to be upgraded to a leg 2 if any of the earlier games don't cover. So a good bit of plays tonight. I just wanted to make sure I was clear about them, because I know sometimes people, again, they ask what I mean by leg 1, leg 2. It's just a unit, and if that loses, then 2 units. If that loses, then 4 units. So essentially, if we split our ESPN games, we wind up doing good, because obviously we close out the sequence at least a profit of 1 unit. And sometimes it's more, depending on if we get plus odds. So yeah, a decent bit of games tonight. I tried to take a few different things into account. NBA, we've been doing all right the last couple of nights, so hopefully we keep that. I mean, honestly, all season, we had about 2 nights where we just were like 3-4 games below 500, or we lost a couple leg 3s. But like I said in my last video, we've been closing out a lot of sequences, so we don't have too many leg 3s. We have a couple leg 2s that we're plugging in, as you can see. And we have the 1 leg 3. That's from just so you know, the leg 2 loss a couple days ago. I think it was a Spurs loss. I think we had the Spurs. It might have been the one where we had them beating. It was an upsetter, or I don't know if it was the Bucks. I forget who they played. I think we had them winning. It wasn't the Knicks because we won that one, but it was a leg two regardless, and we lost or we missed it. So the Spurs under 225.5. I absolutely love that play. So that's my favorite play. I guess my quote lock of the night, and that's going to be for 4 units, leg 3. So yeah, if you have any questions, you can let me know. But I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I try and make it as digestible as possible for people. And like I said, I was busy, so I was having a harder time. Like my football video, I didn't get out till like 30 minutes before the game yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't by intention. Just I was going to do it earlier in the day, and then next thing I knew, it was like 7, and some guy was like, "Hey, aren't you going to do an NFL video?" So I do appreciate that. I think it was Justin Sudoka, so I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. But yeah, so tonight I do like a lot of these games. I like this NBA in-season tournament. I think it's a stupid idea, but I like the fact that we'll probably get a good read on what they're going to be doing with it, what teams are going to be being pushed, and I think it's going to ultimately help us with our NBA championship predictions, which I did in my rankings video anyway, and it hasn't changed, obviously. So far, I still like it, so we'll see what happens. So yeah, I think hopefully we'll get a couple good upsets. If you're feeling froggy and you want to play the Pistons to win, I don't think it's a bad play. But again, I'm just taking the cover because it's safer, and Sixers are undefeated against the spread. I think that's coming to an end. So I'm just playing my spread metric. I'm not going to get fancy with it. Although, of the upsets, like I said, I think it's the most likely. I think you look at the Spurs because of Wemby. That's why I took them. But you look at the Jazz, I think people are going to be on that. Or even the Nets. The Nets have at least a 500 record before they're going to be on the Pistons. So of all the upsets, I try and look at the one that makes the most sense. And the Spurs, to me, makes the most sense because of the narrative. But, again, if you're feeling froggy, I think the Pistons make sense, too. So, as I always say, take care and happy earnings. I'll have our college football picks out a little bit later tonight.